Dating apps just released their annual data, and it's absolutely brutal. Some women are swiping left on 95% of men while complaining there are no good men left. They're demanding six-figure incomes while bringing debt and baggage. They're calling average men toxic for wanting what they themselves demand. The cognitive dissonance is off the charts, and I've got the receipts. Let me show you exactly how certain people are destroying modern dating through double standards. So absurd you'd think I was making them up. But I'm not. This is really happening, and the data proves it. Let's start with the attractiveness delusion. Dating app studies show that some women rate 80% of men as below average attractiveness. Think about that mathematically. How can 80% be below average? That's not how averages work. But here's where it gets interesting. These same individuals rating themselves as 8s and 9s are getting zero matches with the men they want. You'd think this would trigger some self-reflection, right? Wrong. I had a consultation last week that perfectly illustrates this. Woman, early 30s, hasn't had a second date in 2 years. She tells me she's easily a 9 and won't date below an 8. I asked her to show me the men she's rejecting. Guys with good jobs, decent looks, genuine profiles. Her response? They're all 5s at best. Meanwhile, she's 50-pound overweight and hasn't had stable employment in 3 years. The disconnect from reality is staggering. The income expectations have become absolutely delusional. Studies show that certain individuals expect partners making $150,000 minimum. That's top 10% of earners. But what's the reciprocal offer? I bring myself to the table. That's it. No cooking skills, no domestic support, no financial contribution, often significant debt. They want a top 10% earner while being bottom 50% partners. A client showed me his ex's dating profile recently. Her requirements: 6 feet tall, 6-figure income, own house, no kids, never married. Her offerings: 3 kids from 2 different fathers, $40,000 in student debt for an unused degree, currently unemployed. She's been single for 4 years and can't understand why. The entitlement is breathtaking. The toxic label gets thrown around for anything now. Man wants a fit partner. Toxic. Man prefers someone without kids. Toxic. Man expects some domestic contribution. Toxic. But flip it around. These same people want tall, wealthy, handsome men exclusively. That's not toxic though. That's knowing your worth. Some individuals will celebrate getting free dinners from men they have no interest in, posting about it on social media like it's an achievement. But when men mention they prefer younger women, suddenly that's problematic and predatory. Using men for free food is empowerment, but having preferences is toxic. Make it make sense. The body standard hypocrisy is unreal. Certain people will mock men for being under 6 feet, something completely genetic and unchangeable. Short kings need not apply. If you're under 6 feet, you're a friend. Brutal public mockery. But mention that you prefer someone who takes care of their health. You're a monster promoting unrealistic beauty standards. I've seen dating profiles that literally say no short men, no small dicks, no broke boys. Imagine if a man wrote no fat chicks, no flat chests, no gold diggers. He'd be banned from the platform and probably featured in a viral post about toxic masculinity. But somehow the first example is just preferences. The buzzword problem is everywhere. Every rejection is gaslighting. Every preference is misogyny. Every boundary is narcissistic abuse. These terms have been diluted to meaninglessness. A guy doesn't text back immediately. He's love bombing, then withdrawing. No, maybe he's at work. Not everything is a psychological manipulation tactic. A friend got called a misogynist for splitting the dinner bill. Misogyny means hatred of women. How is expecting equal contribution hatred? But certain individuals throw these terms around without understanding them, using them as weapons to avoid accountability. Don't want to pay for dinner? Call him misogynist. Problem solved. The emotional manipulation when confronted with facts is predictable. Present data about dating patterns. You're attacking me. Point out contradictions, tears, ask for equal effort. You don't appreciate what I bring. The crying especially, it immediately shifts them from aggressor to victim. Men can't do that. We cry. We're weak. They cry. We're mean. Some dating coaches are giving the worst advice imaginable while claiming expertise. Never text first. Make him wait 3 days. If he doesn't pay for everything, he's not interested. Then these same advisors wonder why modern dating is broken. You're literally teaching people to play games instead of building connections. The funniest part: these advisors often can't maintain relationships themselves. I know one with 300,000 followers teaching how to get your dream man who's been single for 6 years. Another one selling marriage mastery courses is on her 3rd divorce. But sure, tell men what they want. You clearly understand male psychology. The self-improvement resistance is remarkable. Suggest that someone might increase their dating success by getting in shape. I should be loved for who I am. Okay, but you won't date men with dad bods. Suggest developing cooking skills. That's outdated gender roles, but you want a traditional provider. The standards only apply one way. Some individuals expect to land top-tier men while refusing any self-reflection. validation. They want CEOs while being unemployed. They want athletes while being sedentary. They want intellectuals while only watching reality TV. When you point out this mismatch, you're being negative or not supporting women. The rejection handling is hilariously hypocritical. These same people who tell men to man up and handle rejection fall apart when one guy doesn't text back. One rejection becomes, all men are trash. One bad date becomes, I'm done with dating. Meanwhile, men face hundreds of rejections on dating apps and are expected to keep trying without complaint. I've watched someone have a complete meltdown because a match unmatched after she took 3 weeks to respond. She called him insecure, afraid of strong women, probably gay, all because he unmatched after nearly a month of silence. But men are supposed to handle constant rejection with stoic grace. The loyalty expectations are astounding. Some people expect absolute devotion while providing minimal reciprocation. They want men who wait months for intimacy while they figure out their feelings. They want commitment without reciprocating. They want investment without returns. Then they're shocked when men choose other options. A guy I counsel waited 8 months for physical intimacy with someone who said she needed time. He later found out she had a one-night stand with someone she met at a bar during month 2, but he was supposed to wait because she saw him as relationship material. The mental gymnastics required to justify this are Olympic level. The social media effect has made everything worse. Some individuals post every interaction for validation. Guy doesn't open the door. Instagram story. Guy suggests coffee instead of dinner. TikTok rant. Guy asks to split the bill. Twitter thread. Your dating life becomes public entertainment, and men are realizing it's not worth the risk. These posts never show context either. He didn't plan anything special for our date. Doesn't mention it was a first meeting from an app. He suggested we go Dutch. Doesn't mention she picked a $200 restaurant. He hasn't texted in 3 hours. Doesn't mention she takes days to respond. The narrative is always victimhood. The advice certain people give each other makes things worse. If he wanted to, he would. Never settle. You deserve the best. This creates impossible standards. Every normal human behavior becomes a red flag. Every reasonable boundary becomes abuse. Every realistic expectation becomes settling. The never settle mentality has created a generation of permanently single individuals. They'd rather be alone than date someone at their actual level. They're waiting for perfection that doesn't exist while their own value decreases with age. Then at 40, they wonder where all the good men went. They went to women who didn't have impossible standards. Tholing gymnastics some people expect is exhausting. They want spontaneous romance but get mad if you don't plan ahead. They want effort but not too much effort. They want pursuit but not desperation. They want attention but not neediness. The acceptable zone is microscopic and constantly shifting. I had a client whose date cancelled on him twice, showed up 45 minutes late the third time, then got offended when he seemed distant. She literally said, "I need someone who fights for me." Fighting through disrespect isn't romantic, it's desperate. But certain individuals have been told that making men jump through hoops proves love. The financial expectations versus contribution gap is massive. Some people expect expensive dates, gifts, trips, lifestyle support, their contribution, their presence. That's it. They genuinely believe that showing up is equal to thousands of dollars in investment. And if you question this economics, you're not a real man. The career woman paradox is real. Some individuals want all the benefits of dating successful men, but none of the requirements. They want a CEO's income, but won't maintain a CEO's home. They want an athlete's body, but won't support an athlete's lifestyle. They want an intellectual's conversation, but won't read a book. You can't have championship results with participation trophy effort. The communication style certain people use guarantees relationship failure. Everything is a test. Every question has a wrong answer. Every situation is a potential fight. Do I look fat? Isn't a question, it's a trap. Where do you want to eat? Isn't asking for input, it's testing. If you know what she wants telepathically, men are exhausted by this constant testing. We say what we mean. When we ask where you want to eat, we actually want to know. When we say we're thinking about nothing, we're actually thinking about nothing. But certain individuals project their indirect communication style onto us, then get mad when we don't play the game. The emotional labor argument gets misused constantly. Some people claim that remembering birthdays is emotional labor. Listening to your partner is emotional labor. Basic relationship maintenance is emotional labor. But somehow the actual labor of providing financially doesn't count. Physical labor doesn't count. Only their contributions count. A woman online went viral complaining about the emotional labor of Christmas shopping for her boyfriend's family. The boyfriend who paid for everything, planned the trip, drove 8 hours, and handled all logistics, but are picking out gifts with his money. That's the real burden. Apparently, the dating app behavior of certain individuals is killing connection. They match for validation, not dates. They use apps for attention, not relationships. They collect matches like trophies, then complain, men don't pursue. You matched and never responded. What pursuit do you expect? Studies show some people spend more time on dating apps seeking validation than actually dating. They're not looking for partners. They're looking for proof they're desirable. Then they complain about being single while having 500 unresponded matches. The matches aren't real to them. They're just dopamine hits. The all men are trash narrative becomes self-fulfilling prophecy. When you treat every man as potential trash, guess who sticks around? Actual trash. Good men leave when they're treated as guilty until proven innocent. Bad men stay because they don't care about your opinion anyway. I've watched good men get pushed away by paranoid behavior from people who've been hurt before, checking phones, requiring location sharing, interrogating about female friends. The good guy leaves because he won't tolerate being treated like a criminal. Then she says, "See, all men leave without recognizing she drove him away." The friend group validation seeking destroys relationships. Some individuals care more about their friends' opinions than their partner's feelings. Every decision gets crowdsourced. Every fight gets broadcast. Your relationship isn't between two people. It's a public committee where you don't get a vote. The breakup behavior shows true character. Some people will destroy men's reputations over normal relationship endings. He didn't want to continue after 3 dates. He used me. He broke up after discovering incompatibility. He wasted my time. He left after being disrespected. He couldn't handle a strong woman. The pregnancy trap still happens, despite what people claim. I know 3 men baby trapped by partners who forgot birth control or lied about it. These men are now paying child support for kids they didn't consent to having. But somehow they're the dead beat-ats for not wanting to play happy family with someone who deceived them. The social media recruitment of flying monkeys is standard practice now. Breakup. Time to post his photos with warning labels. Argument. Screenshot his texts out of context. Disagreement. Rally the followers for validation. Men's reputations get destroyed for the crime of having boundaries. The pick-me accusation gets thrown at any woman who treats men decently. Woman cooks for her man. Pick me. Woman pays for dates sometimes. Pick me. Woman doesn't bash men online. Pick me. They've created a culture where being a good partner is seen as betrayal to the sisterhood. The therapy speak misuse is everywhere. Every preference is trauma response. Every boundary is emotional unavailability. Every standard is attachment issue. Some individuals learn psychology terms and use them as a weapons instead of understanding tools. Your ex wanting space wasn't avoidant attachment. Maybe you were suffocating. The retroactive narrative changing is disturbing. Consensual relationships become manipulation after breakups. Normal arguments become emotional abuse in retelling. Mutual decisions become coercion when convenient. History gets rewritten to make them victims rather than participants. I've seen someone claim abuse because their ex asked them to contribute to rent. Another claimed trauma because their boyfriend suggested the gym. Another said she was gaslit because he disagreed with her memory of events. Every normal relationship conflict becomes abuse in the retelling. The entertainment value of drama creates toxic patterns. Some people need chaos to feel alive. Peace feels like boredom. Stability feels like settling. So they create problems, start fights, manufacture issues. Then they complain. Men are exhausting when men react to the chaos they created. The hypergamy reality that nobody wants to discuss. Studies consistently show certain individuals date up economically while men date across and down. But pointing this out is misogyny. It's not judgment, it's observable reality. But reality that challenges the narrative must be silenced. The age pill that certain people refuse to swallow. Fertility declines. Beauty fades. Energy decreases. These are biological facts, not social constructs. But some individuals think they can party through their 20s, career through their 30s, then find marriage in their 40s. Biology doesn't care about your timeline. The consequences of these double standards are destroying dating for everyone. Good men are checking out. Players are thriving. Families aren't forming. Birth rates are crashing. Society is fragmenting. But acknowledging any of this makes you the problem somehow. The good women are suffering too. The ones who actually bring value, who understand reciprocity, who treat men well, they're getting lumped in with the entitled masses. They can't find good men because good men have been burned too many times to trust again. I know incredible women who can't find partners because men assume they're like the others. They cook, they contribute, they're supportive, they're reasonable, and they're single because men are too traumatized to recognize quality anymore. The bad actors have poisoned the well for everyone. The solution requires honesty that nobody wants to hear. Some people need to lower their standards to match their value. They need to offer what they demand. They need to treat men like humans, not utilities. They need to recognize that relationships are trades, not charity. But this message gets rejected because it requires accountability. It's easier to blame men, blame society, blame apps, blame anything except their own behavior. It's easier to demand change from everyone else than to change themselves. The men who figured this out are thriving. They're dating internationally where appreciation still exists. They're staying single and building wealth. They're refusing to play rigged games. They're choosing peace over drama, freedom over servitude, solitude over suffering. The cope from certain individuals is predictable. Those men are losers anyway. They can't handle strong women. They're intimidated by success. No, they're making rational decisions based on cost-benefit analysis. When the cost exceeds the benefit, rational people walk away. The future of dating looks bleak unless something changes. The current trajectory leads to massive single populations, plummeting birth rates, societal breakdown. Japan is the preview. Herbivore men, parasitic singles, demographic collapse. But certain people would rather society collapse than admit their standards are unrealistic. The young men watching this disaster are taking notes. They're seeing their brothers destroyed in divorce court, their fathers paying lifetime alimony, their friends falsely accused. They're learning that the only winning move is not to play. The technology that was supposed to make dating easier has made it impossible. Infinite options created infinite pickiness. Constant validation created massive egos. Social media created public relationship destruction. Apps created window shopping for humans. Some individuals using dating apps aren't even trying to date. They're trying to prove they're too good for everyone. They match to reject. They connect to ghost. They engage to disappear. It's not about finding someone. It's about proving they don't need anyone. The vulnerability, punishment is real. Men open up emotionally, and it gets used against them later. They share insecurities and get mocked. They show weakness and lose attraction. Then certain people wonder why men won't communicate. You trained us that vulnerability is dangerous. The progressive politics performance makes dating insufferable. Every interaction needs to pass ideological purity tests. Every preference gets political analysis. Every joke needs sensitivity screening. Dating became activism, and nobody's having fun anymore. Some people want traditional benefits while denouncing traditional roles. They want providers while mocking provider mentality. They want protection while calling protectiveness toxic. They want leadership while demanding equality. The contradiction is unsustainable. The dating coaches making this worse need to be called out. They're selling fantasy to desperate people. You deserve a high-value man, but they don't teach how to be high-V-value women. They teach entitlement, not improvement. They teach demands, not offerings. The success stories that get promoted are statistical anomalies. My friend married a millionaire. Yeah, and someone won the lottery too. That doesn't make it a valid strategy. But certain individuals plan their lives around exceptions rather than rules. The backup plan mentality is toxic. Some people keep orbiters around as backup while pursuing better options. They string along good men as safety nets while chasing bad boys. Then when the bad boy phase ends, they expect the backup to be grateful for the opportunity. The honesty about intentions is completely absent. Some individuals want providers but pretend they want partners. They want wallets but claim they want love. They want security but talk about passion. Just be honest about the transaction instead of disguising it as romance. The male response to all this is predictable and rational. When the game is rigged, don't play. When the deal is bad, don't sign. When the risk exceeds reward, don't invest. Men aren't failing at dating. They're succeeding at risk management. The shaming tactics don't work anymore. Man Up lost its power when manning up meant accepting bad deals. Who hurt you became a joke when the answer is multiple family courts. You'll die alone isn't scary when alone is preferable to misery. The statistics support everything I'm saying. Marriage rates plummeting, divorce rates still high. Male suicide rates increasing, female happiness decreasing, birth rates below replacement. These aren't opinions, they're measurable outcomes of broken dynamics. The women who get it are speaking up, but get attacked. When they point out female accountability issues, they're called pick-me's. When they defend men, they're gender traitors. When they promote reasonable standards, they're oppressed. The sisterhood only accepts those who toe the line. The generational divide is interesting. Older women who appreciated men are watching in horror. They see their daughters destroying good men with impossible standards. They see their sons giving up entirely. They see their grandchildren never being born. But their wisdom gets dismissed as internalized misogyny. The common sense that used to govern relationships is gone. Be kind to your partner. Contribute equally. Show appreciation. Have reasonable standards. Build together. Support each other. This became settling and pick-me behavior instead of basic relationship functioning. The men going their own way aren't bitter. They're logical. They've done the calculation. Modern relationships offer negative return on investment. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. The risk isn't worth the reward, so they're investing in themselves instead. The panic when men actually walk away is revealing. Suddenly, the I don't need a man crowd is asking, where are all the men? The men are trash crowd wonders why men won't commit. The I'm independent crowd questions why men won't provide. You got what you asked for. The future belongs to those who reject modern dating dysfunction, traditional communities with functional gender dynamics, international relationships where appreciation exists, or simply men choosing peace over chaos. The current system system is unsustainable, and everyone knows it. The correction is coming whether people want it or not. Reality doesn't care about ideology. Biology doesn't care about politics. Economics doesn't care about feelings. The current dynamics will collapse because they must collapse. They violate natural law. The men who've checked out aren't coming back for the same deal. If certain individuals want relationships, the offer needs to change. The appreciation needs to return. The reciprocity needs to exist. The respect needs to be mutual, or men will continue choosing solitude. The last word on this is simple. Some people destroyed dating by demanding everything while offering nothing. They priced themselves out of the market with delusional standards. They created a generation of men who'd rather be alone than abused. And now they're facing the consequences. Every double standard mentioned here is documented, studied, observable. This isn't misogyny, it's pattern recognition. This isn't hatred, it's exhaustion. This isn't attack, it's defense. Men are simply responding rationally to irrational behavior. The good news, men are finding happiness without playing these games, building wealth without supporting ungrateful partners, finding peace without constant conflict, living life without walking on eggshells. The best revenge is massive success while they're still swiping. To the reasonable women watching this, we know you exist. We know you're frustrated too. We know you're suffering from others' bad behavior. But until the toxic majority changes or the good ones become more visible, men will continue protecting themselves by walking away. To the men watching, your standards matter, your boundaries matter, your happiness matters. Don't accept bad deals. Don't reward bad behavior. Don't sacrifice your peace for anyone who wouldn't sacrifice their comfort for you. Choose yourself. The evidence is overwhelming. The data is undeniable. The patterns are consistent. Modern dating is destroyed by double standards so absurd that future generations will study this period as a cautionary tale. But for those of us living through it, the only rational response is to refuse participation. I want to hear your stories. What double standards have you encountered? What delusional demands have you faced? What made you walk away from modern dating? Drop your experiences below. Let's document this insanity while we're living through it, because someday people won't believe this actually happened.